The safety recalls detailed in this program involve vehicles equipped with front seatbelt buckle assemblies manufactured by Takata Corporation. To facilitate recall implementation, the affected vehicles have been divided into 6 recalls based on vehicle model and seatbelt model. The affected vehicles and recalls are Recall number 651, which involves 1986 Ram 50 and Power Ram 50 models equipped with bucket seats, and 1986 Conquest and Colt models with Takata Model 521 seatbelt buckles. Recall number 652, which involves 1987 Colt and Raider vehicles equipped with Takata Model 521K seatbelt buckles. Recall number 653, which includes 1990 and 1991 Lasers and Talons and 1991 Stealth models, all equipped with Takata Model 523K seatbelt buckles. Recall number 654, which involves 1988 Colt, 1988 through 1990 Colt Wagon, and 1988 through 1989 Raider vehicles equipped with Takata Model 524K seatbelt buckles. Recall number 655, which involves 1986 Ram 50 and Power Ram 50 models equipped with bench seats and Takata Model 524 seatbelt buckles, and 1987 through 1991 Ram 50 and Power Ram 50 with bench or bucket seats and Takata Model 524K seatbelt buckles. And Recall 656, which involves 1989 through 1991 Colt and Summit vehicles equipped with Takata Model 523K seatbelt buckles. On these vehicles, the front seatbelt buckle release buttons may break and pieces of the button may fall into the buckle assembly. If this happens, a broken piece may prevent the buckle from latching or unlatching. To correct this condition, the front seatbelt buckle release buttons must be replaced on both the driver's and passenger's side buckles. To accomplish this on vehicles involved in recalls 651 through 655, the seatbelt buckle outer cover must be removed, the release button must be replaced, and a new outer cover must be installed. In addition, on Ram 50 and Power Ram 50 vehicles equipped with a bench seat, the center position buckle assembly must also be inspected and replaced if necessary. For 1989 through 1991 Colt and Summit vehicles involved in Recall 656, the motorized shoulder belt guide bracket does not allow sufficient room to remove and install the seatbelt buckle cover. Therefore, on these vehicles, both seatbelt buckle assemblies must be replaced. To assure proper parts applications for the various models, refer to the Parts section of the appropriate dealer recall notification letter. Since these recalls will be launched in phases, parts will not be available until the recall that the vehicle is involved in is launched. If a customer's seatbelt buckle is inoperative and requires service before the applicable recall is launched, interim replacement buckle assemblies, in black only, will be available. For detailed information regarding these interim buckle assemblies, a separate notification letter will be issued entitled Safety Recalls 651 through 656, Takata Interim Black Front Seatbelt Buckles. The service procedure is similar for all vehicles involved in Recalls 651 through 655, with minor differences. Procedural differences are due to variations in the buckle attachment method, with a bracket, wire, or webbing. Also, the service steps demonstrated in this videotape illustrate the proper procedure for replacing the front seatbelt buckle cover and release button on the driver's side only. Technicians should be aware that this service must also be performed on the front passenger side buckle. For most vehicles, this service may be performed without removing the buckle assembly from the vehicle. However, for visual clarity, this videotape will demonstrate the service on the bench. To begin the service procedure, first recline the seat back as far as possible and cover the area of the seat around the seatbelt buckle with a clean shop towel. For Ram 50 vehicles equipped with a bench seat, begin the procedure by folding the seat back forward and removing the belt and buckle assembly from the vehicle. Then, to assist in later reassembly, attach a wire to the seatbelt anchor bolt hole. and slide the webbing sleeve back far enough to clear the buckle. Next, using side cutters, cut away both sides of the upper buckle cover along the angled surface as shown here. After cutting the upper buckle cover, insert a medium flat blade screwdriver into the holes in the upper cover. With the screwdriver blade against the lower cover, carefully pry the bottom cover off, being careful not to damage the buckle mechanism. After separating the upper and lower buckle covers, you must remove the seatbelt switch from the lower cover. This step is required on all driver's side buckles and also on the passenger side buckle on Stealth models. To remove the switch, use small side cutters or a razor blade to cut the heads of the 3 plastic tabs which secure the switch to the lower cover. With the tab heads cut, carefully pry the switch from each tab with a small screwdriver and disengage the switch wires. After removing the switch, discard the original upper and lower buckle covers. Next, for 1987 through 1991 model year vehicles, depress the release button and then disconnect the lower loop of the latch spring from the buckle mechanism using a small screwdriver or pick. With the latch spring detached, tilt the lower part of the release button slightly away from the buckle mechanism and remove the release button by sliding it off the guides. During this step, be careful not to break the plastic guides or lose the guide springs. For 1986 model year vehicles, there is no latch spring to detach, so simply tilt the lower part of the release button slightly away from the buckle mechanism and remove the release button by sliding it off the guides. Next, hold the guide in place and use shop air to clean any loose debris, dirt, and pieces of the release button that may be present in the buckle mechanism. After cleaning, inspect the buckle mechanism to ensure that the button guide and guide springs are properly assembled and that all the debris has been removed. Also, make sure that the guide is in the cutouts in the top of the frame and is properly seated in the body slot on the bottom of the frame. If the guide is positioned like this or like this, be sure to properly reposition it before continuing with the button installation. Next, for 1987 through 1991 vehicles, obtain the provided release button from the parts package and rotate the attached latch spring away from the button to ease installation. Then install the release button by sliding the button over the guides and springs until the button stops past the buckle frame stops. Then depress the release button and connect the lower loop of the latch spring to the latch mechanism using a small screwdriver or pick. Again, for 1986 models, there is no latch spring to attach, so simply install the release button by sliding the button over the guides until the button stops past the buckle frame stops. Next, verify that the buckle operates properly by latching and unlatching the seatbelt tongue several times. This is to ensure proper operation of the latching mechanism before installation of the new buckle cover. Next, for vehicles equipped with Takata Model 524K buckles which have a webbing attachment, verify that the webbing retainer pin is properly aligned with the buckle frame. For Colt, Colt wagon, and Raider vehicles involved in recall number 654, and for Ram 50 vehicles equipped with bucket seats involved in recall number 655, insert the lower part of the buckle frame into the webbing cover and install the provided upper cover over the buckle mechanism. The cover should snap into place. The release button should be flush with the buckle cover, and the bottom of the cover should align with the first groove in the webbing cover. For all other vehicles, install the provided upper cover over the buckle mechanism. The cover should snap into place, and the release button should be flush with the buckle cover. Before installing the new lower cover, verify that the button guide has not been dislodged from the buckle frame, And then verify that the buckle operates properly by latching and unlatching the seatbelt tongue several times. Next, for all driver's side buckle assemblies and on stealth passenger side buckles, the original seatbelt switch must be installed into the lower buckle cover. To do this, insert the bottom of the switch into the lower cover slot, and then press the top of the switch into place under the two clips. Then, with the switch attached, secure the switch wires in the lower cover wire holders. Next, move the switch slider into the up position, as shown here. To assemble the lower and upper covers, depress the release button, and then, while making sure that the ejector pin aligns with the slot in the switch slider, insert the lip of the lower cover under the upper cover, and then snap the two parts together. Once again, verify that the buckle operates properly by latching and unlatching the buckle and tongue several times. After each latching, pull on the belt several times to ensure that the buckle latches securely. If the buckle does not operate properly now, but did operate correctly in the earlier checks, remove the buckle cover and install a new cover. If the buckle still does not operate properly, replace the buckle assembly with the proper assembly as listed in the catalog in Parts Bulletin 95-6, which was issued in November 1995. Next, for Ram 50 vehicles with bench seats and involved in recall number 655, reinstall the webbing sleeve by pulling the webbing back through the sleeve using the wire that was previously attached. Then remove the wire and reinstall the belt and buckle assembly into the vehicle. Prior to installing the driver's side belt assembly on these vehicles, inspect the center position buckle assembly. If the center position buckle does not operate properly, or if the release button is cracked or broken, as seen in this example, the center buckle assembly must be replaced. To complete this service procedure, verify that the seatbelt warning system, both lamp and buzzer, operate properly. For further information related to service procedures, part numbers, VIN lists, and reimbursement procedures, refer to the Dealer Safety Recall Notification Letters numbers 651 through 656.